Hi, my name is M.A. Trent Millet. I go under Trent. I'm in Saratoga, New York.
Hi,
Welcome aboard.
Hi, Janet. How are you doing?
Great. This is T.J. Morris. She is the, the owner of this station and the host, and I'm her co-host. And I told T.J. that we would be having a special guest, Trent, yourself. And today we're talking about the Montauk project and Tantra and whatever else you feel inclined to share with us.
Oh, I appreciate
Welcome aboard.
it. Yeah, it's good to meet you.
Yeah, tell us a little about yourself. All to do is archive information on who we're talking to. So can you go back and give us a little information back to your high school days, because we can all relate to that and move forward?
Oh, well, I came up through northern Vermont, one-room schoolhouse, some private schools, kind of struck out on my own across country during the hippie era, and I started finding great and awesome teachers. About 1985, I ran into the United States Psychotronic Association, basically mind and instrumentation, where I started doing picking people up at the airport and doing the tape recording, audio recording. So I spent hours and hours listening to lectures I probably wouldn't have voluntarily attended. And about the third year, two things started to happen. I started to understand what these amazing scientists and quantum scientists and time travelers and Pentagon researchers and molecular biologists were talking about. And the other thing that started happening was I began to find what I'd heard 3 and 4 years before coming out on the Discovery Channel, and after a couple more years getting into our universities. So I realized I was really part of a leading-edge think tank that was heralding us into the future. Among those people were people like Preston Nichols of the Montauk Island, Philadelphia experiment fame. He helped develop the transmitter receivers on the Montauk side of the island. I knew Duncan Cameron, or still do, Al Bialik, some of those folks. And, of course, that caught my fascination along with everything else, which included free energy, Tesla stuff, conspiracies, UFOlogy, just about everything that we're now finding is intuitive science and becoming harder science. So I have had a chance to play with Preston recently in his magic, I call it his magic music time machine, where many people view the future. And I've got a pretty good understanding of just what's going on there. I've known a lot of people who've worked with some of the government projects that had interest in time viewing, possibly time travel, changing dimensionalities. Preston's equipment is quite interesting. Due to the antenna structure within the vacuum tubes, it's able to capture your mind and body energies in 13 dimensions. So when you're in his rather fabulous device, not only is it amplifying the music, but it picks up your own body signals, your own energy fields, integrates that into the amplifier, comes back out enhanced, picks it up, enhances it again. So you end up with your aura about 50 feet in diameter. And since it's working in multiple dimensions, 10 to 13 dimensions, we're not limited to this 3D time and space. I think, as you may be aware of, we live in 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time, which is a scalar vector. And time is everywhere. We don't have to travel to get there. On either side of us, in other dimensionalities, we have 3 dimensions of time and 1 dimension of space. And space is everywhere, and we don't need to travel to get there. So it's a matter of breaking through these dimensionalities beyond the limited 3D, 4D when you consider time, and gaining some freedom then to move and integrate in that. Kind of as an addendum to this, I'm a firm believer in what Greg Braden said, that all we are trying to do in our mechanical world, our electrical world, our electronic world, our computer world, is replicate our own biological systems. We develop canals and plumbing systems to represent our veins and arteries, electrical lines and telegraph systems to mimic our nervous system. We have computers now. We've gone all that the way up that are gaining consciousness to mimic our mind. So having been in a couple of time flex type machines, I began to realize that one place this is done naturally is where energy gets converted to light, goes beyond the electromagnetic into the ion and photon, as Colonel Tom Bearden, our chief war games expert for years in the Pentagon, said when you pump the electric and grab the, it moves magnetics. If you stop the electric from pumping, it pumps the magnetics. You stop both electric and magnetics from pumping and maintain inductance, you start pumping time and gravity. And, of course, that's movement. I'm a firm believer that anytime you have two dualities, two duals, positive and negative, sea and shore, with a 0 point in between, and something stimulates that, whether it's movement or fire or heat, so that within the 0 point something is produced that was not there, that's good sex. In a real term rather than the limited first chakra term that the average human being tries to manifest it. When you're in Preston Nichols' laboratory out there outside of Albany, New York, if you can call it a lab, a collection of ancient electronic equipment in two houses. It's put together in very interesting ways. The energy that moves through the body is really that light, that photon energy, that ion energy, what we would call tantric energy, that way, moving up through the chakras and getting into higher and higher dimensions. As you may know, when you go 48 octaves above sound, you get light. I firmly believe that when you're in a tantric state, you become a light being. I've seen it, experienced it myself, type thing. And it was interesting in a discussion with Preston, one of the things he had to do during the Montauk years when they were sending these kids off through time, they'd pop them in this chair and in this equipment, and bingo, off they'd go. Some of them came back. And when they did, they were pretty fractured. They'd been in several dimensions, a number of places, in a number of different time zones. And when Preston needed to reassemble their consciousness, what he was using was tantric energy. He was trained as a young man by the Jesuits. 70% of our physical energy comes in through the lower chakra. Each chakra is a harmonic of the one before it, with complex frequencies around its number of petals. And in a sense, each one represents another dimensionality. So as you move up through them, you're coming into higher and higher light realms. A person in an orgasmic state, i.e. that would usually be a woman, that way. Also, bridges...
Let me pause you here, because it's a lot of words, and I need to kind of slow us down, because
there's
I'm like
clicking back and forth,
the
too.
audience. I don't hear clicking. You hear clicking?
Oh, yeah, off and on, off and on.
No, I'm okay. Let's just, do you hear clicking, Trent?
Yeah. Can you hear it, Trent?
Very slightly.
Very slightly. No, I don't hear anything on my end. But I want to stay focused on. And so we're talking about the tantric energies, and now I've lost my question. I was going to ask, but let me see if I can recover it.
I was concentrating on the 13 dimensions of light.
Giving us a lot of information. I want to break it down a little bit for our listeners, because they may not have a total understanding of what you're talking about. First of all, you're talking about Preston Nichols, who was part of the Montauk project. So maybe let's do a couple phases here. You might want to explain a little bit more about the Montauk project and who the characters are of the play, Duncan Cameron and Al Bielek, and I don't know if you know Stuart Swerdlow or Peter Moon or any of those people. But anyway, maybe we can break it down into that. And then I'd like to break it into the tantric energies. And you were saying that there were 13 dimensions. I want to elaborate on that. So let's, since you mentioned, let's go back to kind of like the beginning. Could you tell our listeners
Montauk.
What Montauk is?
Okay, in August of 1943, the U.S. Navy wanted to make a battleship radar invisible, That was the Eldridge that they experimented with in Philadelphia Harbor. Dr. Van Nuys was on the project. Tesla was on the project to begin with, Nikola Tesla. And they were using electromagnetics, coils, and the interference of the coils started working in what we now realize was other dimensions. And in the attempt to make this battleship radar invisible, there was a 1983 end of the experiment, which was at Montauk Island. When they created transmitters to try to produce these electromagnetic, proton, ion, multidimensional effects to make the battleship radar invisible, and they had to throw the switches on the transmitters in 1943 on the Eldridge, and in 1983 at Montauk Island simultaneously.
Wow.
40 years difference, but the switches were thrown simultaneously.
How
did
they communicate through the time?
This is where, again, it's hard from a 3D construct to imagine this. And it's partially where you get to in the tantric part of it, is the ability where something is placed in all time and it shows back up in various places in space. The simultaneous communication had to take a place in that realm. Dr. Van Nuys hung around right before they were going to actually initiate this project in 1943. Nikola Tesla said, look, this is way too dangerous. We don't have enough controls on it. I quit. He detuned the equipment.
He died in January of 43, and this experiment occurred, if I'm correct, August 1943, correct?
August 12th, I believe.
Yeah, August 12th, 1943. And
so he
Tesla
was well
was
out of the project.
January of 43. So did he quit before they got to that point? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yes,
okay.
He was against it. He felt they didn't have control enough over the effects or understand them well enough. And he had actually detuned some of the equipment in what some of his authorities would have called sabotage, but they went ahead with it anyway. The battleship disappeared. When it reappeared in 1943, there were people integrated in the bulkheads, literally mixed with the metal. Al Bialik and Duncan Cameron were two of the men on the ship. What had happened, the ship disappeared, number of hours, came back. When it did, the people were integrated in the bulkheads. Al and Duncan smashed the equipment to stop the effect, which is why it reappeared. It was invisible both to the eye and to radar. Now, it appeared in various places. I believe the first place was Virginia somewhere in 1963, and in Montauk Island in 83.
Mm-hmm.
So it had traveled through time, creating a wormhole. Duncan Cameron and Al Bialik ended up in Montauk Island in 1983, where they'd been bounced around that way, and were sent back to smash the equipment on the ship at the same time it was shut down on Montauk Island to restabilize this wormhole that had been created. And apparently it created a wormhole that's complicated things ever since.
So that wormhole is still open that opened at 43. So it's still creating havoc, wreaking havoc. And
it made it much more difficult for our friends from, our alien friends to maintain a guard on that wormhole. Plus, it created an alternate timeline, which could be dangerous. And apparently, one of the reasons the time-type experiments were shut down were our other beings, the UFO people, the aliens, had said, no, we can't let you play this way. And,
so,
of
TJ,
course...
just interject here. TJ, are you still there?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, TJ has worked on a command ship in this lifetime, and we talked about this on previous shows, and you were part of it, and your husband were part of this command ship that guarded the wormhole. So this is an interesting correlation.
Why is that?
Well, because Trent is saying that this wormhole opened in 1943, and correct me, you were talking about protecting us from aliens.
Well, he's talking about a particular wormhole that happened here on Earth. There was a 40-year attention span in what we call time, but that doesn't mean anything to anybody unless they understand the whole concept, because it's basically not proven. It's a concept based on Nikola Tesla's, but you know he died January 7th, 1943. And if I remember correctly in my history, this particular energy transpired, and they're trying to say there's a connection between the Philadelphia experiment and I guess what Trent is trying to explain to you about Montauk. Is that the correlation or the connection?
Yeah, we're taking the correlation of the Philadelphia experiment, and I'll let you, I guess, Trent, you can finish a little more of the story, but I just wanted to interject before I forgot that
yeah, there's various wormholes.
Kay has
but
worked on a wormhole on her command ship, which is outside of Earth, but that's a different wormhole than...
Yeah, totally different. Yeah, one isn't the other. He's more in line with tachyon energy on Earth and what we call, what we work on with the... looking for the theory of everything in the Akashic field, and more. This is totally. It's real. Wormhole is a misnomer, to be honest with you.
All right.
It's just what he's talking about is involves time sequencing and a division of light, and that's the speed of light, and there's a violation going on there because people didn't even know that there was anything faster than the speed of light. So Tesla was working on various patents, including the first X-rays, and he is brilliant. And as far as 13 dimensions goes, I tend to agree, but I have a lot of scientists that are trying to say there's only 12 at this point, and one would be Michio Kaku in the 12 dimensions. So, you know, you take time out of it, and you have 12. But as he was saying, the basic synopsis for layman's terminology is 3D plus time. So, you know, thus far I'm sort of following his principles and his hypothesis, I guess one would say. With
all right, and Trent, go ahead. I thank you for letting me interrupt. Continue your story, please.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Montauk Philadelphia experiment is where we started to try to hardwire a flexible relationship with time. I'm sure there's I think there's a Pegasus project, I believe it's called.
Yeah, I want to
that.
Pegasus in correlation with Montauk, but let me make a note of that. We'll pick that up later. Continue with how we get from Philadelphia to Montauk. If you could do that leg, and then I'm making a note to go back to Pegasus. Go ahead, please.
She worked for laymen is who she's working for. She's working for the people out there that probably have no clue what you're talking about. And those that do, God bless you. But those that don't, just hang in there with Janet. She's trying to coach us along. So go ahead, Trent. I'm listening. I'm listening.
It was one of the various, since that time, interest in flexibility in time. The battleship did arrive back in Philadelphia Harbor. The equipment was shut down both in Montauk and on the Eldridge in 1983 and 1943, and the cover-up started. Al Bialik and Duncan Cameron were the two survivors from that. And, of course, Preston Nichols, who we started mentioning, was the man who had a lot to do with the design of the receivers and transmitters on the Montauk side. They continued in the 80s experimenting with Montauk, and one of the things they were doing were picking up various homeless kids, people, prisoners, wherever they could get subjects, and sending them through time. Let's zap them out there, see if any of them come back. Some of them did. When they came back, Preston would put them on his table, His time machine has a bed you lay on to be comfortable, and try to reassemble their consciousness. So that brings us kind of up to what's available today. Now, rather than sending you physically through time, his stuff allows you to experience a larger reality, a multi-dimensional reality. I had some friends who went down last summer, and I thought, well, maybe they'll spend a couple of hours listening to his music. They spent 2 days there. And as one of them said, you'd look over and Preston wasn't in the room anymore, although he hadn't moved.
Oh, wow.
All
so
of the women...
How did you get from the Philadelphia experiment, how did they move to Montauk? And was that a previous base of extraterrestrials? Is that part of the decision? What made them go from... How did they get to Montauk?
I'm not sure how the sites were chosen.
Okay, well, that's okay. Because I've heard
it's kind of interesting because after 1943...
It has to do with DARPA and NASA, basically.
Wait, one person at a time. Go ahead. After what? 1983 what?
Here you have the chicken and the egg. Until Montauk was set up, the Eldridge couldn't have gone invisible. But until it went invisible and went into the future, the people in 1943 didn't know what they had to do in the future.
Wow.
So once the ship had traveled into the future and got back, they knew, gee, we've got to build transmitters in 1983 and receivers to make this happen. But, of course, it had already happened, so they must have been built. But they couldn't have been built because it was 1943 and they didn't need them until 1983. So you get this infinity loop of where, again, it's a time in one moment, and then somehow it's redivided into space.
Well, Janet, you've got to also realize that Andrew Basiago is a part of this tonight's lecture, and
did he come on board, or is he?
No, I'm just telling you that he brings in 1968 and Project Pegasus, which has already been mentioned. We'll go to later.
Right.
And that I don't know a lot about, other than its existence. There is a very gentle operational time machine outside of Columbus, Ohio. My experience with that was the ability to view, although I'm sure I could have gotten off. I just didn't know. I didn't have the confidence to get off and knew how to get back on. So there are several places we're working on this. And where it comes into the tantric, again, because this equipment, the Montauk equipment, the Pegasus equipment, the stuff outside of Columbus, there was a quantum scientist down in the Southwest at one time who was working with time and wanted to, is that we're trying to duplicate a biological function. Last time I was with Preston, for instance, all the women viewed the future and saw the same thing. I saw my daughter in 2050, still looking very young that way.
Oh, wait, let's pause on that. So by 2050, they may have the capability of stopping the aging process, which my friend Aubrey de Grey says that aging is a disease that is totally curable.
Yeah, she's 24 at this time, and when I saw her in 2050, I guess she looked about 28.
Wow.
And
so,
all the women...
What did the women... Okay, we need to back up here. First of all, our audience doesn't necessarily know what Tantra, tantric energy is, so we want to flesh that out. And also the other thing I'd like to know more on is, you said the women were able to see the future. What did they see? It was the same future. So could you
now, when you visit Preston Nichols, what you're basically doing is just listening to music. This is minus any tantric or sexual type energy. You just become integrated with the music. Everybody expresses they've never experienced music that way before. Of course, you and the music are mixed, so it's hard to say whether you're part of the musical experience or it's part of you. Most of the women, we had 5 women there, and they all saw an incredibly beautiful future where if you wanted to relate with me, you'd think of me, and I would be holographed in front of you. In other words, complete holographic telepathy was available. 2 or 3 of them noticed that the streets, as they were paved with coins. Apparently they had nothing else to do with money, but it was pretty and it looked nice, so let's lay it down on these roadways. Very loving, very loving. One Russian girl who had seen the future independently elsewhere the day before with a man who actually has wound coils that make you the Tesla coil. She came back crying and said the future is so loving and so beautiful that after whatever chaos we're going through, seems to be a bit of an emotional Eden. The ability to have this telepathy, open-heartedness, non-restriction between souls, to view each other as light and fullness. And that's the impression they all got.
Do you know how far
healthy.
they went into the future?
It seemed to be about, 2050, 2060, 2070. We really didn't discuss dates, which is an interesting thing. Next time I talk to them, I have to say, if you've got any idea about what time or how time might have been rated at that point, because we all felt that at that point time was much more voluntary, that you decide whether you want to go right and left, forward or back, and when.
Right.
You know, it should be.
So there's no real determination of a time, and time's operating in a different fashion. Does there seem to be, it's back to one timeline, or is it still split like it is now?
And again, we that just didn't come up.
Didn't come up, yeah. Because I was
kind of like
Courtney
Greg
Brown, who was doing the remote viewing of the future, and he said they looked at 2013, at June 1st, 2013, and in 2 different variations of these 30 remote viewers, they were seeing different levels of destruction. So are you saying that they did see us go through something like that, of earth changes and destruction, or some kind of catastrophic event, and then come out the other side into a more loving universe? Is that what you're saying?
They seem to be in the other side.
Of something that happened.
Yeah, they're really a negative thing happening wasn't even mentioned. It's interesting you asked that. It may have been, I think Greg Braden was one of the ones who said after 2013 or so, we won't have any way to discuss time from the previous constructs. So it's quite possible we were in a different frequency. We're light beings, and as you know, that's arising. So the possibility of an alternate timeline where their reality was different might very well exist. Preston actually sees all of our reality and ourselves as a computer program.
Mm-hmm.
And he's wondering whether the program is the computer's glitching, and whether the program will finish running itself to completion before the computer glitches out. Which, when he explains it, it makes ungodly sense.
Yeah, wow. It'd be lovely to have him. I'm working on different conferences now. I started with the Stargate to the Cosmos. We're restructuring it and doing another date, if not another venue. But I'd love to have Preston come and share this information and get it out to the public. And we're going to be doing interviews and TJ and I were documenting things, and maybe with your help, maybe Preston would be willing to come on a show, a future show. I'd love to get Andrew Bashago on a show. He was part of Pegasus, and part of my vision is to have everybody on, we'll do a special day on the teleportation, time travel information, and see if we can piece these pieces together of the puzzle. And it's interesting you're saying that we might be in a virtual reality and the program is glitching, because I had that conversation this morning about And are we as the observer participant creating this on some level? Because in quantum physics, what they say is it requires the observer in order for, particles or whatever to move. And so we are part of the process. So is that what you're saying? Like we are part of this computer program process. Is it glitching on its own, or is it glitching? Could you tell me more about what you mean by that?
And again, this was some of Preston's concept, but it comes up also with what I might call an observer reality determination. That if God is a computer in his program creating this, then we are learning how to reach the program and control it. Again, we're kind of in an infinity loop. This is all a giant computer program, but the elements within the program, you and I and the light workers, are learning how to interrelate with the computer and change the programming that produces us. And this makes a lot of sense. Anything we put into our imaginations, whether it was Flash Gordon or time travel, seems to show up in the 3D in a physical way that we can function with it.
Right. So you have to be careful what you think.
Correct.
Well, yeah, David,
we're getting more and more power, and of course, to produce that. And quite often, I think what we think shows up elsewhere. So, talking with Janet, she had mentioned that she had the ability to time travel in an advanced tantric state, which might be called an orgasmic state. And again, I believe we've already done biologically what we're trying to reproduce mechanically. So last time I was with Preston, I mentioned that. We had time for conversation alone, and he said, I was trained by the Jesuits in tantric energy.
Explain what tantric energy is to our audience. They may not understand what that is.
The Kundalini rising effect with your chakras. That's all your basic elementals and metaphysics.
So we understand, because it's kind of like when you say Christian, it means different things to different people. So
right.
From your perspective, what does Tantra and Tantric energy mean, according to the Jesuits and Preston, and your understanding?
The easiest way, if it wasn't so misnomered and limited, would say sexual energy.
Uh-huh.
A physical frequency, the raw battery that starts as our physical, and as we reach each harmonic, goes up through the chakras to become more and more light. The problem is saying sexual energy, we lock it into body parts, Catholicism, sexuality, sex as it's done, in a barroom floor or something, rather than realizing this is an energy. It can be moved to the throat. It can be moved to the hands. It can be moved to expression. It can be moved to healing. It's a battery. It's an engine. It's a dividable energy. It's not just, and it truly, sex is sexual energy is the right term for it. It's people's mind only grasp 1/10 of it. The average person, for Janet and I to say sexual energy, what we mean...
That's the lower chakra. It's stuck.
Yeah, and it's the driving force of tantric or higher level degrees of sexual energy. When I say sex, I have an ocean, and most people go, "Oh, this is Boston Bay," as one of our people at one of the temples said. If sexuality is the entire body, the way the average vanilla person views it is your left toe. So, using
Hatha yoga, it's used to awaken. So you have to understand. That's why so much of our New Age went into the Kundalini rising theories of Kundalini energy. The problem was a lot of people were starting to teach physical and only bringing them up to their lower chakras. They wouldn't teach the higher powers. They got stuck. So that's why Tantra got a bad name in the legal sense. But it's supposed to be Kundalini rising, which means coiled like a snake and rising. And I did extensive research on it just because I didn't want to get stuck in the lower chakras, so that I sort of went towards the spiritual side, or the higher levels, going into the heart and on up, right, the chakras. So that was sort of what I was hoping we could share in the futures, not just using the lower chakras, but using all the chakras, not getting stuck in the sex chakra.
I thought that the reason why, for me, the tantric energy is energy. It's kind of like a gun is a gun and how you use it, right? So tantric energy is just energy, and it feels sexual because when you awaken to Kundalini, it goes from your base chakra and it goes right through your genitals, and that's why people interpret it as sexual energy, and that's just its course it goes. And as you get higher into the higher realms of the experience, of course, it becomes like a full body thing. It's not just localized in your genitals. So
no, you're supposed to teach all the chakras. You're right, all the way out to higher level, just like the yogis do. Or your yoga.
You're not going to get a Kundalini awakening. You're not going to get the full orgasmic potential until you're able to awaken your Kundalini and shoot it all the way up through all your chakras, out your crown chakra, and then you reconnect with Source, and you basically pierce the veil of forgetfulness that we came into, and you experience, I've experienced all the way up to what I perceive as the 13th level or the 12th level, the highest realm, and I've done a high five with Om, with God, with all there is and ever was and ever will be, and then I, decided where I wanted to direct my consciousness, and I decided that this is the greatest show on the earth, and I'm back here in my body. I was given this.
It definitely, Kundalini is the movement of that energy.
Yes.
The result is light. Every cell bursting into light, the chakras bursting into light, the blending of the chakras, higher and higher frequency, so that it is not physical. Because it enters the physical lower chakra, we perceive it at that point as physical sexual energy, and most people get stuck down there. I know some of the best sex I've ever had is in drum circles, which were third eye, throat, and heart chakra.
Right.
And it really was. So where we get into the kind of the time travel and, more importantly, manifestation, one of the reasons that took me to a temple was I was telling the son of the high priestess, I happened to be at a hot spring, met the young man kind of coincidentally, that it's really too late to fix this earth, and it's too late to repair it. But if men can be the container, if they can be the chalice that holds the wine, the oaken bowl that holds the sacred blood, the coconut bowl that holds the sacred mother's milk, the mountains that hold the water, that women can rebirth it and remanifest it. And this is where it happens. And then, of course, I had a conversation with Janet, and she's obviously capable of doing this type of a natural Kundalini, let's take us out of the 3D. If you're in that orgasmic state, which is a Kundalini energy rising, and all of the cells becoming more and more light. It's Kundalini in every cell. It's every cell going into an orgasmic state. It's the physical electromagnetic turning into photons, turning into pure light. And you'll see people in that state where all you see is light. It doesn't always require that orgasmic ability. People who've been there, you look at them, and there's just light there. It's very difficult to see a physical body even, just kind of as a light beam. I think woman is a manifestation of the ability to do this. Man's kind of a fuel tank, and she takes him with her. I seem to have the ability to help trigger a woman into consistent and continuous orgasmic state, and I don't think she drops a good fuel tank. So that you're here in 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time. And, of course, you're looking for 0 points or neutral points. This is in the psychology, in the chakras. It's one of the reasons rituals. And one of the things the lay people need to understand is the importance of 0 point or neutral. No matter how small a number you have, add the world's largest number to it, it is a finite percentage of increase. If you have 1 and go to 100, you have a 99% increase. 0.001 go to 10 billion, you can still say it is this percentage of increase. Anything added to 0 is an unlimited increase. Anything added to 0 is infinite increase. That's why you do ritual between man and woman, 0 point in between masculine and feminine, sea and shore, dawn and dusk, waxing and waning of the moon, between 2 seasons. You're lining up 0 points, because any whisper where there's nothing is all sound, all creation. And the 0 point, as we go up through chakras, male lower chakra extension, woman receptivity, and yin and yang is really extension and receptivity. My second chakra, of course, is receiving. A woman's pregnancy shows her second chakra's extension. There's a 0 point between each chakra. And as these are lined up through discipline, and this is really where the discipline of a priestess comes in, priestess-level discipline, priest-level discipline, where you have discipline of your own energy, your own breathing, your own tantricness, dedication to higher power, the may I, can I, should I, by whatever you're dedicated to, starts bringing in the higher dimensions that are in agreement with you. So you are empowering those different levels. So if you're there and you start to charge this, man and woman, between being in the physical and the big O, what we know as the orgasmic state, is the important 0 point, is the important O. It's kind of between the drum beats is where you add intention. Between the pillars of a temple is where the intent is and the ritual takes place. It's between the, oh God, I'm going to come, and the actual start of that orgasm where there's a moment of infinity, where anything you add is infinite. So if the last thing on your mind when you settle down on that sacred altar, that is your bed, that is your place of lovemaking, in sacred space, it's been dedicated to that. If the last thing on your mind is Alice in Wonderland, before you lose your mind, in the sense of being able to have vocabulary or say I'm in a room or any of that, whatever you've taken there goes into 3 dimensions of time, and that is everywhere in time. When you come back from that orgasmic enhanced tantric state, gravity interprets whatever was in all dimensions of time as what to put in your dimension of space. So if the last thing you had in your consciousness when you lost it was Alice in Wonderland, you come back to say, gee, was that good for you, baby, whatever, you'll find there's a man with a hookah and a white rabbit sitting there.
So that's what you have. Careful
when we dedicate our
your intention, because when you get into the orgastic state, that's called sex magic. That's what you can manifest and create, and that's how we can take back the timeline.
Yes. Well, I remember that line from the.
I was going to tell you that the original Tantra was prehistoric. It was before Christ existed, so. That was your Sanskrit, your Sanskrit time, and that's where it came from. And of course, the Indian and the Buddhism of yoga, but it all became your isms, and even Jainism, which is something I was very much into for a while, but it didn't mean sexual practices, in the beginning anyway. I don't know what New Age did to it, but it was supposed to be spiritual enlightenment. It wasn't a religion.
It's mutually exclusive, TJ. It's a spirit. You can do it as a solo practice, and you can do it as a practice with a partner. You can do it as a practice with a tantric group. It's not mutually exclusive. You can accomplish, samadhi and oneness. It's a practice that helps you reach and touch source without needing a priest or priestess or intermediary. It gives you a direct knowingness of the all that there is, without having
ecstasy.
to do it research or
well, the
kept from you?
samsara of it, or the study of it, was supposed to be that nothing exists that's not divine. So that was the philosophy behind practicing Tantra.
Yes, and as
I
understand
it got screwed up was when New Age started trying to use it for teaching other modalities that weren't necessarily facts from the original creation.
I think it's like anything, TJ. You've got a spiritual practice, and then you have people interpreting it, and that happens with religions and everything, science, everything. You've got so many different perspectives of a field.
Yeah, it was the Americans that changed the Tantra movement.
I think exactly the same. That's what happens. And
yeah, I agree with John Henry.
The intention was to create an experience of knowingness and awareness and oneness. And, you know, there's a lot of people, I am in the Tantra field, and so it's kind of like when you say all Tantric people or all black people or all Asian people.
I understand the New Age Tantra versus the old, but I go with Sanskrit. I always go with original ontology.
Well, the original Tantra came down from the Anunnaki.
I'm a Tantrika.
Through Inanna, who
was
to her Lulu so that they would have a spiritual practice. But it goes all the way back to the Anunnaki. But the Anunnaki were aware of Tantra because they were a galactic society, and they were aware of the galactic society. So we here on Earth don't really know exactly where Tantra came from on a universal scale.
It came from Sanskrit, but it also was initiated in India.
Go
I
ahead.
agree with John Henry.
Let's try to do one at a time. Go ahead. What did you want to say?
I agree with John Henry that Mary Magdalene was probably a Saiyan. The first reference we have to Christ is a bowl that had hallucinogenics in it called Christ the Magician. At that time, and to me, Tantra is very much in the light realms, does not demand the physical. At an ecstasy breathing workshop, a number of people achieved orgasm and certainly didn't require touch. They moved into that light realm, into that kundalini. The two things that happens when male extension energy becomes aggravated enough, men go to war. The other way to aggravate that, which the Catholic Church was very good at, was to take away the receptor of that, the woman, so that they gather the sexual energy rather than it having the receiver. And again, this is light realms. I tell people in the example I just gave of going into 3 dimensions of time and with Alice in Wonderland on your mind, we dedicate our sacred union because nothing is more sacred than that which creates life, and it does go above duality. Once you're out of the ego, you're out of duality where there is no male, female. You're in that neutral point. So when you're in that state, it's almost impossible to say you're having sex because you're just in oneness. You're in the divine light. Dedicate your lovemaking to the oak tree that's dying down the street, to your daughter getting over her cold, to the neighbors having peace, to the joy of your lust. But realize that this is an act of intent and that it has huge and great power. In Janet's case, she's able to time travel, which brings us back to the connection of what the Montauk people are trying to do with wires and batteries and condensers and coil. You can do with your own ability to transcend physical limitations, to go into the light realm with intent and come back placing from all time peace here, or health for the earth, or the purification of the water. For God help us, love in men's heart that have greed now, you know?
Right.
Well, let's take it into David Anderson is going to be teaching, and he has been teaching, and he promotes my socialparanormal.com site. He has been working with the world on this time travel for many, many years. He was with the Air Force, and he will be speaking at the Pythagoras Conference October 10th through the 14th. And he is all about disclosure of time travel. That's what his whole format is based on. And he actually has a space, after leaving the Air Force, he started the Anderson Institute.
So
and he is one of the best
how does he
teachers.
time travel? What's his system? Because we're looking at as a tantric time travel as something that's within one's own self and their own body. We're looking at Montauk. We're looking
Montauk.
at the there's
Montauk.
a Project Pegasus. There's the Looking Glass. You know, the chronovisor.
He covers all of that because he covers it from the people that started it. That's Janet. You know, I know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the government and DARPA.
Right. So let's
Dr.
break
Lewis
that
Anderson,
because our audience doesn't know that. So doesn't.
Well, David Lewis Anderson is time travel theory. He is journeys. He is the world-class president of what we're talking about.
Well, let's get him on a show. And right now we don't have him here. So,
well, he's part of this. He's part of this story. You know, he is a major part of it.
TJ, can you break it down? I don't know. What we're following was the spread of
David Lewis Anderson.
What Preston's doing. And then we can pull in at a future show David. Maybe we can get him to come on. And this is like we're laying some groundwork here because it's too abstract.
Preston wrote a book with Peter Moon.
If you could explain.
Yes, he has 3 out.
Well,
right.
That'd be great, but it's too abstract at this point. I don't know who this man is.
Well, Trent, tell us more about how you got into this. You met Preston, and you were. But do you know David Anderson at all? David Lewis Anderson, because it's the same energy for time travel.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about him. I've never met him. I've known Preston since 1985.
Let's talk on the Preston piece of the puzzle.
We need to get Preston
and we
on
can
here.
Invite, and Andy's not here, so we can invite him, and we can invite David Anderson at a future time, and maybe we can do like a panel.
And Project Pegasus
but for this
Andrew.
time we have here, because we have Dr. Lesson supposed to come on for another segment.
Yeah, you only got 3 minutes.
Yeah, so maybe we'll but I want to focus more on Trent and what he has to offer, and I can ask, Dr. Lesson to maybe,
Yeah, we can have Preston on later, Trent. Let's hear more about you. What are you?
Yeah,
what are you about?
But Trent,
one of the things I'd like to do in this realm is see the bridging of the biological and the physical. I've constantly found that what we are trying to do in technology, nature's already done it better. A good example of that when they were trying to replicate hands-on healing frequencies. They got hands-on healers, measured the frequency coming out of their hands, and then started winding the caduceus coils to replicate those frequencies. If the time travel people are going to replicate it, if they're going to build the equipment, and if they're going to tune the equipment, why not go and measure where the experience is happening? They're trying to time travel. We have tantric practitioners that are doing so. So by measuring the light, the frequencies, that ability, at least we know what happens when it's really happening before we try to replicate a machine in the experimental sense.
They've been doing that for 50 years.
So
that's proven
the Preston Nichols, they have a successful time travel program, correct? And it's a technology. But I understand it was given to the chair was given to the Montauk project by extraterrestrials, correct? Is that what the understanding is?
That comes winding into it too. That
could you tell us more on that?
Again, we're bridging dimensions of species and the star beings, and once you're in all of time, you have the communication from them in the future. Preston has a number of songs he claimed he brought back from the future that now became popular because he placed them in the time, so they'll go into the, again, that infinity loop. Now, of course, Preston doesn't have the whole Montauk thing there in the sense. So I have found that it's easier for women to view time in his machine because of their intuitiveness and their open third eye chakra. In that ability, they seem to bridge into the Kabbalistic time stream very naturally, a gift of the goddess. That way, I had watched Preston's machine working for a number of years at Psychotronics, and I wasn't sure whether I wanted this mad scientist to play with me or not. And I ran into one of our members who normally tried to catch up a year's work 4 days before the conference, and she looked totally rested. And I said, gee, you got a night's sleep? And she said, no, I was in Preston's machine. So this is the third year I've been exposed to it. I said, I'm going to jump in. I got in there with my ex-wife, asked him to play a song for me, and she had one put on for herself, and we were totally integrated. I could feel every emotion as it built in her and rose in her. So that's where we had started from in my first experience with Preston. Since then, I've been very, very honored to go over and just spend hours listening to his music. He was up at the Lightgate Spiritual Center in Thetford, Vermont when it was open. I recorded him there. One of the advantages of doing audio recording for all of these people is you're in and you're at the gateway.
Right. And
I left Lightgate after listening to Preston's music for 2.5 days. It was about 130 miles back to my house. I put on a cassette in my cassette player, and before the first song finished, I was driving into my driveway. So, you know, a 3 or 4 minute, maybe a 5-minute song, and yet I'd arrived at my driveway. I mean, this is the kind of thing that happens after you played with Preston. It was
you
just
time traveled.
It was great.
Let me ask you something, because I know that Preston, I read his book, The Music Through Time, and that Preston was instrumental in putting in the programming. Are you familiar with that book, The Music
yes.
Through Time? Okay.
Music
Through
Time. And
because it's been a good 10 years since I read it, but from what I understand.
The Montauk Project was the first in that series.
Right. But in The Music Through Time, he was very instrumental in putting the musical programming in the music we listened to in the 60s, like the Beatles and Moody Blues and all those bubblegum, you know, funny songs, you know, like Green Tambourine and Yummy, 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 Got Love in Your Time. Anyway, some of those songs that you would think wouldn't go to the top because he put some programming in them, they all went to the top of the charts. And so that's why the different musicians flew in from the UK and wanted to work with, what was the guy's name he killed? I forget his name. He was Phil Spector. And Preston worked with Phil Spector in New York City, and they had this. So you're saying that Preston is able to bring back music from the future, but the music is somehow different. And I have a friend that's a musician, and she says that our tone, what was it, the timing and the tone, music was changed somewhere after Bach or something, and they started using music to kind of program us to keep us into a different rigid form. And the music system we have today is unnatural.
Correct.
So she studied with Rudolf Steiner, and I wish I could. I maybe will record her piece of that puzzle about how music is not unnatural. It's actually counterintuitive to the body and how we are. So somehow our music that we have in existence today, going back to the classical, where they started introducing it, is part of the programming that keeps us in the matrix in this time.
Yes, that's really relevant. I hold a certificate in bioharmonics, which is similar to bioresonance as a type of frequency or sound healing. For instance, after my house fire and divorce, I had no F or F sharp in my voice. Mm-hmm. If we record your voice and you're not utilizing potassium, 19.18 hertz or 19.21 hertz won't be in your voice. So we can give you potassium by sound. Pythagoras' mathematical frequency system is slightly different. A friend of mine, Darryl Braun, who has amazing sound healing CDs. I traveled with him for 4 years. My slip disc has been reversed and eliminated, a worn rotator cuff. Is based on Barbara Hero's Lambdoma keyboard, which is completely different. Our 440 do, re, mi, fa, so was supposedly set so that everybody could coordinate the tunings of their musical instruments. Previous to that, I tuned my guitar for the response of my audience, probably intuitively to what they needed that was missing from their spectrum. So you get together with 30 musicians, and every instrument was tuned differently in a slight sense. So they said, let's go to 440. Our natural tuning, which Native American flutes are tuned at, is 432. All the sacred sites are tuned at 432. And when they built these sacred sites, they knew we were going through the intergalactic cycle that we're now re-entering every 12,000 years of a 25,000-year cycle, and that we needed the gateway frequency to reopen our consciousness. So every sacred site was built at 432, and yet we're listening to 440. Right. When you get back to those natural frequencies, Pythagoras' frequency, E based around 432, you break out of this structured matrix, which is very patriarchal, back into connection. So
well, you may want to listen to that. You've Lost That Loving Feeling by Phil Spector. He was in BMI. I'm a BMI, Broadcast Music Incorporated member as well. Now, Stuart Swerdlow was part of the Montauk, and his program manager was Al Bielek. And Janet asked you if you were familiar with Stuart Swerdlow and Al Bielek, which is part of that, as well as David Lewis Anderson from Long Island. So David's part of this whole thing. So, Janet, we're going to have him come back to talk about music, because you know I love music, and he's on this because Rice University
hasn't shown up, and maybe he's
okay.
So let's keep
well,
going.
So I really like the music part of it.
Conversation. So,
okay.
So you're saying that Mr. Anderson is a part of the Montauk Boys?
Most definitely. Oh,
okay.
Yes.
For some reason, I don't have his name. So let's go back to
Stuart
Al Bielek, mentioning Trent. Al Bielek. You met Al? You knew Al? He crossed there, what, a year ago?
I think yes. I knew him at Psychotronics for several years. And hopefully I'll get together with Duncan Cameron again this summer. We were supposed to meet up at Preston's place with a friend of mine who's quite an audiophile and been involved as long as I have in this stuff. I hear Duncan's doing quite well. Al passed over. He was a very interesting man.
Yeah, I met Al one time at a conference, and he was very tall, a big cowboy. And then I saw one of his YouTubes, and he said, and please, my memory is not always 100%, but he said that after the Philadelphia experiment and they were retrieved, they sent him to a hospital in the future, and I want to say it was around 2100, because they didn't have the technology in 1983 to help him recover from the wounds he had from falling over the Eldridge in 1943 and being retrieved in 1983. And so there was something about that, and I know that they moved him from his original body into the Al Bielek body, and correct me if I'm wrong again, I thought that he got moved into a Al Bielek body when with some kind of walk-in type situation where the child was 6 or something, and he took over and then continued his life. So
yeah, now I had understood that was Duncan, because Duncan, of course, appears quite a bit younger than Al. Duncan had dropped back into his half-brother's body in 1963 and grown to the man he is now from there as a walk-in.
All right, so I might have it. Well, I know they both. I think they both had to be to replace their original bodies. So neither are in their original bodies. And then Stuart Swerdlow said that he fell out of the Eldridge. He was one of the German scientists, and he came right down into the birth canal, the birth process. And his mother, it was really weird. Something about his mother didn't have a birth canal, so they had to actually kind of do something, special surgeries for him to even be born. But he had no veil forgetfulness, no going in from the body of the German scientist into being Stuart Swerdlow. No drop in time. He just instant out, falling off the Aldrich, being born. And I think he is, he's about my age, so I'm 58. He might be a year or two younger. So came in around 55, 56 into physicality, into this incarnation. So we've got this information that they can actually transfer souls. And I wonder if you've ever had conversations with any of those, Al or Duncan or Preston about that part of the puzzle, transferring souls from one body to another.
Yeah, certainly that kind of transference, that kind of walk-in, that kind of mixing is very much involved with it. And I'm sure a lot of the kids sent through time came back in alternate bodies. Because, again, if you're in 3 dimensions of time, you don't really have a 3-dimensional body in our sense. So you come back to find your original home and see if nobody's in an empty shell, maybe you move into their house, so to speak.
Yeah.
And how there's what types are blended. I've often wondered if some of the schizophrenia was more than one person trying to live in the same apartment.
Yeah, well, that would do it. And then, TJ, you indicated at one point that somehow back in your early youth, as a teenager or young 20-something, that you were involved. You went to Montauk. Is that true?
1968. Same time the little boy was there.
Tell me what your experience was when you went to, and how long you were there and everything.
In 1968?
Yeah, how did you get there? What made...
I was there on an airplane from Houston, Texas. My husband was working at NASA. His father was working at Grumman there at the Air Force Base. And they had a top-secret project. And Al Bielek was there. Andrew Basiago was a child. His father was in the CIA. And they had the time jump program going on. And the seat was out of one of the crashed UFOs. It wasn't Gus. It was one that was left there. And they got hold of the seat, and the Air Force was in control. That's why all the airplanes, my husband, NASA, Grumman, why I told you about David Anderson, because David was over in over where I told you about, where I went on the first Gus, the one with White Sands we were talking about last night. And he flew in from Edwards Air Force Base in the Mojave Desert and started the Advanced Time Technology Research Laboratory in Long Island, New York. So that's why I was telling you, if you want to really know what's going on, talk to David. Let me slow you down a little bit.
So you were, what was your role in this project?
I was a communicator, the same as I do now.
So you were doing communications, and so
the boys couldn't do it. They were
let me stay down here. You're saying that Andrew Basiago and his Pegasus project was there at the same location at the Montauk project in 1968.
Yes, he was a boy. I don't even know his age, but he came there. I don't know if he was time traveling or just using the jump with the chair.
How old did he
appear
to be?
8 or 9? No, 6 or 7 maybe. So maybe 8.
This would be great because Andrew is trying to piece together his memory of it all because some of it's been kind of blacked out, but the
father,
boys from the Montauk, from the Pegasus project, are finding each other and they're comparing notes and and each of them kind of remembers different parts. So
yeah, he played with me on the beach. I knew his father. I knew his father, his mother, on the beach in Long Island. I don't know what they were doing there. They had some kind of fancy home in the summer, and his mother had real severe headaches, and from being around him when he'd come back. And I don't remember too much about his mother, but I remember him playing in the water and coming up. And he knew me, but he didn't know how he knew me. He was a really strange child. See, I was 16 or 17, but I already had Angela, the girl that lives here with me now. So Angela was part of it by osmosis, or just by being there.
Right.
But they were trying to see how the various knowledge that I knew, because I was extraterrestrial and they knew it, how I could explain to the boys and to the government how to use the knowledge that already, what do you call it? You say that I come with the knowledge, I'm able to talk about it. What do you call that? Like Andrew can't remember everything, but I can. Whatever you call that. I don't know what you call it.
I don't know. I'm drawing a blank on what you're trying to say.
Well,
so they
plugged in.
Because you had more
in,
of this inherent information that came to you naturally, and they were using technology to accomplish the same things that you know how to do because you're a genetically enhanced being. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they knew I knew how to use mentally already how to do Gus. I was already an extraterrestrial trained personnel.
Explain to Trent who Gus is. He doesn't know that piece.
Oh. Well, anyway, that's part of it. It's all.
Oh, he doesn't know who Gus.
Together.
Okay, can I tell him who Gus is? If you don't want to tell him. Okay, Gus is the world crash. It's a ship, and they named it Gus because Gus is intelligent. It's an intelligent being.
That makes sense. You know, more and more I think that when they start talking genius, it's being plugged in. It's being connected to something that we're a part of and knowing it, beyond group intelligence. So I really get that part. And her story is so much like meeting somebody who's collecting pieces. I remember Preston had to pick it up. I forget exactly where he was. He pressed an elevator button that wasn't supposed to any longer be serviceable.
Go anywhere. Yeah.
It took him to a place, and he walked into the office he once occupied that he knew nothing about. And once he was there, it started coming back. He goes, "Oh my God! Everybody knows me in this place. The elevator acknowledges I exist and opens up, so I'm the only one who's got clearance. They're high pressing. Yeah. How you doing? Haven't seen you for a long time." And he's like, "Where am I? Whose wine? What wine? Where the hell did I dine?" Kind of thing. And the pieces started coming back, and they're actually. It isn't like you've forgotten. It's just they're floating through time somewhere, and you've got to grab that piece and reinsert it in the puzzle. And it's a very common story that from the fragmentation. Yeah. And it's interesting. I feel a synchronicity here of bringing up the music in frequency, because the frequency, of course, all we are is sound, water, and light, and sound forms the mold, just as in cymatics it does. I have a water device that you bounce a laser off of water that's hit with a sound, and it makes all these geometric patterns.
Hey, could you do me a favor? I've got to say this, Trent. I want you to hear the music. It's from another dimension is all I can figure out. But can you put it with your music intelligence that I don't have about, you have the piece to my puzzle, you know, the 13 dimensions?
Yeah, I was thinking that
it's on your commercial.
AJ, do you have something to play right now for him?
It's on Janet's commercial. It's on your commercial, the one I made for you, and I don't like it, but I know that it had to be on Earth.
Because what just hit me was if electrons and neutrons become photons and ions, if our electromagnetic world becomes time and gravity, frequency that in our 3D formulates a morphic field may, in the time realm, control that. That the frequencies you're at control where you go in time, how far forward, how far back, and how it's placed. That this magic 432 or these magical frequencies, or this song that you're describing, is like that Alice in Wonderland, when gravity reinterprets it as sound in our realm. What does it bring back with it from a realm where it was something other than sound?
Here, I'll play it for you. She wants me to play it for you. I'll go ahead.
I want to hear that.
Something I don't normally do.
Queued up. I want to just share that when I am time traveling, when I'm in an orgastic state, I found that I can't have any music playing because the music takes me
Now, wait a minute. I started it.
To that music. So if I'm playing like a popular song or I'm playing even something that's spiritual, it hijacks me. So if I really want to just be free-flowing and time traveling, I have to just have no sound, and then I find myself in the course of it, I start toning and having my own sounds, which I'm not conscious of. They just start coming out of my throat, and it's like I go to these different vibratory frequencies based on what's coming out of my own mouth, my own singing. It's like a singing, but it's more like a tones. Just start coming out of.
Well, this is 32 minutes, so I can't possibly play it for you, but I will give you give me a quick impression. Okay, just a quick impression. This was extraterrestrial, created on the spot. 3 of us were musicians in a jazz mode, and I tell the story of my past lives, verbally, but it needs to be analyzed if you know how to do that. But hold on, I'll play you a little bit of it, a couple of minutes, so stand by.
Wow. Wow, TJ.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. So tell us the story of this music, TJ. She's gone. We've lost her. What do you think, Trent?
I think that's the way a lot of Preston stuff feels, and it impresses me like that may be formed once it's out of the 3D, which it would explain why music hijacks you. If what we're listening to, if what we're listening to is what becomes if what we're listening to is what becomes the 3D, I'm sitting across from a carousel. Maybe that's what that carousel is when you're in 3 dimensions of time, which would explain why music would hijack you, because it's insisting on a form.
Right.
That sounds like frequency form to me. I know Preston would recognize it. It's what you feel when you're listening to some of his music and you go away.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, that's what this does. It freaks me out because it can take me from where I'm sitting and hijack my higher self, and I'm just gone. It freaks me out.
It's amazingly powerful stuff.
It's extraterrestrial crap.
And you recorded this to other people?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what year was that?
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
1984.
And what instruments?
No, 2004. Excuse me. I jump all over time all the time.
Yeah. What instruments were you using? How did you get that sound effect?
I have no clue. No, 3 of us have no clue.
You have no clue how you got the sound effect. And were you playing something?
Yeah, I had a keyboard. I mean, it was with a keyboard, but
that's not normal
sat down
keyboard.
And I channeled. I told you it was like jazz. Oh, Janet, you know what I mean? We all met, and we didn't. This guy, I told you, Scott Huckabee came over from Oregon and was freaking out because we knew a lot of the same people, and we'd both been in Hawaii, and he was like, wow, I just gave him $100, and he was tickled to the death. And for about an hour. But and I gave a black guy some money, but I changed money so I could have the rights to my own creation, because they were not cued in, and I was like, I don't know where this stuff's coming from. What am I doing? So to me, it was extraterrestrial, because when I can't understand what it is in my own brain, and yet it moves me out of my body into a channeled state, I had to lay down on the floor. After we did it all, I changed my brain. It was like, whoa, where have I been? I wasn't even here on Earth. And they were like,
lie down, and then
I had to lay down for a couple hours.
But you my commercial. That's what you're saying. I didn't get to listen to the commercial because I have had no time to listen. So I got to go. It's on YouTube. You put that up on YouTube, and that's the background for my commercial you made for me. Yeah,
a long, long time ago. Far, far away. Yeah, I was channeling that, Janet. You can't tell.
Where is this music that you said you made a commercial for me?
Your commercial on YouTube. Yeah, it's your 12-minute commercial on YouTube.
So Trent, after this, the link for this music, which I'm going to have to take the time and just listen to it completely, because
it's only 12 minutes out of 32:06. The entire song was 32 minutes in 32.06 in the reality state that I was channeling that long music. And these other two guys, in the beginning, they just sort of went with me, but they were like, the whole room started spinning. We were going, where the hell are we? And the whole room changed.
That's unique stuff. It may be what reality is in another dimension. Dimensions are hard to conceive.
This one was freaking us out. We weren't here anymore, and they admitted it. They were like, I've never seen them since. I think it scared the crap out of them. I scared myself.
A shapeshifter at one point.
So you're saying that Preston's music is something like that. If we got you a copy of this, you show it to Preston and ask him what he thinks.
Oh my God, I'd love to put it in his machine. Because
you've got a copy now because it's archived, but the 32 complete minutes, I'll have to mail you a CD if I can find one of it. But I mean, I didn't even put it on the market. And the only person that has one was like ABC Television and NBC. No, it wasn't ABC. It was ABC because they came down to film me, and the producer asked for a copy of the CD. And I was like, sure, I'm not doing nothing with it, but he was freaking out. And they,
well, we'd love to get a copy of the whole 32 minutes, because is that what you said, 32 minutes? Yeah, I'd like to have the whole thing.
It's too long.
Hard to say what that is and how it, because we're in a 3D place where that's beyond most people's conceptual ability.
For me even, it was like I knew you had to be, I guess, excuse the expression, but you almost have to be high on pot to listen to this stuff, because if you're not really laid back, and I told my kids that. I don't smoke pot, but my kids do, but I gave my kids a copy years ago in 2004 and said, listen, you guys are going to have to be laid back to listen to this stuff. I don't know if they ever did or not, because I think they said they couldn't get into it or something.
The man outside of Columbus, Ohio, who developed.
Wait, don't start. One at a time, please.
I can't hear.
Yeah, you got to pause because you're talking over each other. Go ahead, Trent. Say what you're asking.
It's just kind of the man outside of Columbus, Ohio, who developed the Genesis machine, and he has an operational time machine, and his kids were in it. And they came back out and they said, Dad, we're going to go back to doing drugs because they wear off. It does very much feel like a construct from another dimension. When Janet is toning in her altered tantric orgasmic state, that song of the sirens is what carries you elsewhere. And if you've heard that type of thing, it is a carrier to other realities that may be expressed in form in this reality. I met a shapeshifter once.
Oh,
It was a young lady who changed from a woman into a black lion in my arms, and I had permission to peek deeper from her, and I suddenly accessed beings from another galaxy that were geometric shape, and their entire speech was changing their geometry, like Stuart Swerdlow's sacred geometry or something. They just shifted into these marvelous patterns. And that music reminds me of what elsewhere may be form, maybe like this carousel or a body. It's got so much substance to it, but it's not of this world.
Janet told me that one night after a show that I was so strange, or not. She didn't say I was strange. She was always real nice. She said she was talking to me, but I don't remember talking to her about it.
It seemed like you were in an altered state of consciousness. And after one of the shows,
she said I told her about
TJ was really kind of high on life or whatever was going on, got into an altered state of consciousness, and you had listened to the show, then you were in bed, and I called you. And TJ was saying, you've got to go find this graphic by Stuart Swerdlow. And
I didn't even know who he was.
It's a 5 levels of reality. It's got a, and she described this graphic to me, and I said, well, where do you want me to click? And you said, and TJ said, well, I'm not at the computer. I'm in my bed. And so she was like looking at my screen, telling me where to click, what keywords to put, and then I go, oh, here it is. And it was exactly as she was describing it, but she was in this altered state of TJ's a magical being. She's like the little girl on Taken. In fact, I think they made the movie Taken after T.J. Morris.
That goes back to the fact we're trying to do electronically what's already done biologically.
Yeah.
You were capable of accessing all of that without coils, wires, and being plugged into an outlet. And
that's why the government used me. That's what the government used me on the Project Pegasus in Montauk.
So they recruited you. What did you do on Pegasus?
What I just did with the music and with you, and finding Swerdlow. I found Swerdlow.
Oh, you found Swerdlow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's right. But on Pegasus, I'm saying, what did you do? Pegasus is different than Montauk. They're two different projects.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. Okay, that's the piece I'm not getting. So you're saying they're one big project, but I don't think the people in Pegasus and Montauk are getting that connection. But you're the link.
That.
Huh?
Andrew knows that. Andrew knows that. What do you think the jump room is?
He thinks it's a separate program. I've had a lengthy
conversation. He was just a little boy. How would he know?
He doesn't know. He was a little boy.
That's what I'm saying.
Being a little child.
Know.
You have an adult to continue to place in that place.
Know who I am.
And have all the pieces.
On the phone. When I talked to him on the phone, I said, you don't know who I am, do you? And he said, no. And he switched right back to the little boy that he was when he was in Montauk.
Wow.
He had no clue who I was. And I wasn't going to tell him. I said, well, maybe you'll find out someday. So he
Well, I guess what we can do, it would be great if we can have some kind of gathering
Swerdlow
workshop with all the time travel people.
He got lost. And Swerdlow, he'll tell you he got lost. I had to go find him in the... Swerdlow got lost.
What do you mean he got lost?
He got lost in the program. He couldn't get out of the room. It was a room just like the one we created this music in. It's a square room, but it turns into a circular spaceship. It crystallizes into a spaceship, and it opens the door into the next dimension. Remember when I told you that Tom went into this Chinese... He killed the guy over, in China, and he went in, and the Chinese guy was there, and we don't know how the room got there. This is the jump rooms. They come out of fourth-dimensional space, and they're created with time, light, energy, and sort of like the music thing. It's all done telepathy. Like when I talk to guests, we create anything like tachyon energy from what we call space dust. So we can create anything, but you have to have everything in place. It's like the click, 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 like 12/11/12, 2011. That's when the planetary alignment happens with the black hole, and it clicks. So everybody's expecting to feel what they feel when we play this music and we're doing these time jumps and all that. But, yeah, Bashiogo's only got a piece. He doesn't know the whole story.
Hey, well, we need to connect him. So, wait, when you said something, it triggered something for me, because as Trent, you're not aware of this, but as a young lady, I would go home through the alleyway, and I would see my best friend's backyard, her house, and my house. The two backyards had a common alleyway, and I would look over at my best friend's house to see if she was home, any signs of her being in the yard, and this being came through, and it was like just a space right in the middle of the yard. He materialized, and he wasn't human. But that could be a jump room, and that was just where it came out. Is that what maybe that's what I was getting, that could have been a time or a...
what you were saying. You just said commonality. All you left out was T. Commonality. Get it?
Yeah, commonality. It was a common
You created a commonality. Yeah, it's a commonality.
Yeah, points to the portal. We're getting back to two different times, but the same moment again.
Right.
Yeah, that's fascinating, because you have a lot of portal energy, or what you call a jump room. There's Saratoga has New York here has quite a time warp around the waters too.
My daughters have this ability too. They can create a time portal. Time warp. Stephanie talked to her last night. She told you. Yeah, she created a time warp, her and her sister. They have the ability to create time warps.
Okay, tell us about that.
That's why David Anderson. That's why David Anderson
your two children. What are they doing? Tell me about that.
They can create time warps.
You and your two daughters. How do they do that?
The same way I do.
So your children have this ability.
Right.
And how do you know that
you heard
they
it
do
last
that?
night on the radio?
Huh?
You heard it last night. Janet, you hear stuff and you don't hear it. It's sort of like everybody.
All I heard was a report about they got their boat locked up. What's the piece that I'm missing?
You never go back and listen. You don't ever go back and listen. That's why with Trent, this is what I'm getting out of this.
Just be here now. Tell me the piece I missed. I'm a bad girl. I missed it. But just tell me what I missed for our audience as well. What did I miss in the transmission last night that your daughter said that
they can get on the same wavelength, and they don't even know how to do it yet because they didn't want mommy to train them. And they know it. They know who they are. They know their skills. And Gigi's begging me to train her, and Steffi never has time. So what happens is when you get somebody that just is like you, that just will be here now and don't want to listen to Gigi that's begging for information, they create a dichotomy or two sides of the puzzle, which we use in laser technology and how we do quantum entanglement. So they become quantum entanglement, and between the two of them can create what Tom and I can create, or me and Gus, or me and the jumps. Yes, triggered. There you go.
The trigger.
And Trent is here because he understands time, music, water, and he's the missing piece for people like me that can do it, but I don't know how to translate the music. And see, Rice University came to me begging me to explain to them about the eighth note, because they were trying to use music in 1984 when they figured out who I was. So John Gray's mother, men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
Right, yeah, John Gray.
His mother sent the Rice University people to my mansion, and they sat there trying to understand with their equipment what I knew. And they wanted to record it, and I would not let them record it. And they couldn't record because they're in university without me giving them permission, and I wouldn't. And it really pissed them off. They tried to work on me mentally for I don't know how long. So now David Anderson has been trying to do the same thing they were doing, and he's working with the light energies. and he works with the World Genesis Foundation. So Anderson Institute is very important to Trent. And Trent, you need to come to the Pegasus and hear David talk.
Boy, I would love to get there. And another piece of this, my friend Daryl Braun that I mentioned is doing such amazing healing because he chanted the ancient mantras for 30 years. And he when he got hold of Barbara Hero's Lambdomer keyboard, he realized that they are all the tones of the petals of the chakras. So he's come up with 192 fundamental frequencies of consciousness you find in the Adavaic realms, and he's found out how they exactly coordinate with 192 fundamental particles that come out of quantum science. So he's making these yin, yang, and neutral forms, and with all of his CDs and the combination of all these petals, he's learned that you'll take the two of the petals in the second chakra, and when you play that as a subharmonic to the upper two petals in the throat chakra, you have the first 12 nerves in the back. You play the same two in the second chakra against the next two in the throat chakra. You have the next set of nerves. He's got all the organs, but he's really bridging into this stuff, I think, without realizing it. Some of these spherical forms he's made are just having amazing effects, and that all correlates somewhere in here. He's got in those 192 fundamental frequencies of consciousness that form everything we know in the 3D, he's got a lot of the answers. I just realized that I never realized how it bridges into what you've just been discussing in these portals, which explains some of the effects he's having of remanifesting things like a slip disc that disappears, being able to remanifest health, grow back. That's just one of the physical side effects. But my God, of course, he's
better than cancer. I've been told that my music can cure cancer, and that's why they wouldn't let me do it.
Well, I think that the music can cure anything and actually reverse the aging process. If
frequency forms
medical
tuning,
there's too many pharmaceuticals out there, and think of all the money that's going to be lost if we put this on the market.
Well, that's what
I'm hitting the same thing.
Society. The whole society's screwed up based on it's a slave system, just keeping us enslaved, and part of the enslavement is the health problems that we all have.
Well, the next seminar we have, I would like Janet to have the artwork, the artist creating the music before our eyes with the music, and this type of music, and I don't know what it is. I just know
Mudra Mandala and mantra. It's interesting you should mention the lock of the pharmaceuticals. I'm here in Saratoga, New York, which was heralded by the world's doctors as the world's greatest health spa. One of the waters on the north side of town, Old Red, the iron in it is a molecular pattern of hemoglobin, and it contains 2 human cell salts. I've had at least 150 people tell me it's reversed and alleviated their eczema and psoriasis. It cured my skin problem in a week. I've seen it 30 or 40 times. Reverses anemia because it is blood iron in 24 hours. We have 5 waters here that were shipped worldwide to hospitals and medical facilities for digestive problems. I've seen them take person after person off of digestive enzymes. In the Roosevelt Bath I give my tours out of has a 93.9% success rate by the doctor's statistics in rheumatoid arthritis, 93.1% in osteoarthritis, 89% success rate in gout. And you can't get the information online.
Wow.
Because of the pharmaceuticals and the AMA.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've never seen it fail. In the frequency healing...
Wait a minute, you're both talking again at the same time. So, Trent, can you just pause for a moment? TJ, what did you want to say?
I wanted to say Jose Escamillo got in touch with me today on the Gmail, and Trent, he's part of this. He's going to do the movie for he's part of this.
What's his movie that he's doing?
Okay, where do I send it to you? Where do I send it to give it to you?
What movie? What's this new movie that he's doing?
No, it's not a new movie. It's an old movie. It's where do I? How do I get it to you?
Well, just
I don't understand.
To thecosmos@gmail.com. But tell me what movie he's doing. You mentioned the movie.
I can't.
We're sitting here bated breath. What movie is he doing?
I'm telling you. I'm trying to tell you. It's crap. Video. Trent, do you ever watch Alphas? I'm that kid that does his thing in the hands. I can see it, and I'm grabbing it, and I can't get it. You need to watch the movie, the TV show Alpha.
Yeah, I just ordered it. So, anyway, he's got a movie. We've got, what's interesting, Trent, is
I've got Trent,
we have
what's your
all
email?
these
I'm sending
that
you
have
this.
pieces of the puzzle. And I was talking to another conference presenter, and
Jesus,
the conferences are good. You know, they're weekend, and real quick. There's a bunch of, about 12 people that kind of download stuff. And we need to have time for us to get together and have some free flow time to connect the dots, to share this level of information. And we need to have these other events where we're going to have the little groups. Like these are all the time travel, teleportation.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff flying together.
With yourself, Trent, we need to have us come together somewhere. And so finding a place, boy, if we had the teleportation system, we would eliminate the problem of transportation for us to get to these places. And somehow we need to continue this dialogue off of this show and pull this information together in one location where we can all look at each other. I think what I realize is part of the recollection part, there's people that have pieces of the memory, but it's kind of, we're lost because we're separated, and that's what the government does. After they have people witness, like Roswell, they would quickly send them apart from each other. All the troop, they would locate them, and so they're by themselves, and they're wondering, did I see that? Am I crazy? Your memory starts putting layers over it. You can't quite get the whole story. But if we come together, like TJ, if you come together in a room with Andy and
Wordlove
and Preston and we start talking, our eyes are just gonna bug open with the information. It'll start flowing to the surface, and it'll just be this incredible energetic share of this information. And somehow,
even tonight, there's been a whole bunch of stuff flying together. In the rediscovery the rediscovery of Ormus water is important to this. And another piece, when you're working the chakras of most of us know the breathing exercise of going down the spine and back up the chakras where it weaves. There's a second strand there called the Merlin strand that's been lost. When you go back up through the chakras in that helix coil, there's a separate helix that is time and gravity that we need to learn to breathe up and down. So you've got that time and gravity loop in there. Like I said, all we are is sound, light, and water. Here in Saratoga, we have all the waters our body is made of. The sound stuff is flying in. The light, of course, is the tantric stuff where you've gone into pure Kundalini light energy. So there's a lot of stuff flying together here right now.
So the
waters to be remanifested.
Are they from
you keep talking about the fish.
Ground? Or the waters in Saratoga? Are they from? What is the source of your waters in Saratoga?
They're in the movie. They're in the movie. I sent you, Janet. They're in the movie. The fish.
The womb of Mother Earth. They come out of the ground that way. The calcium
they're from the ground. Are they like old glacier waters or something?
It's a mix of volcanic, glacier, seawater, minerals. It's all carbon dioxide charged, similar to some of the waters in Rayette, France, Vichy, France, Nurem, Germany, which is why it has such amazing effects.
Trent,
and then
it's in Trent. Get this. It's in the fish. It's in Jose Escamillo's fish.
His movie. Okay, I'm going to go on to and we have like 10
in the
minutes of
fish,
time
Trent.
left. So
Well, he's got to see
let me
it.
go through what you're talking about, TJ, so I can make sense of this.
All right.
You send it to my
Trent,
Stargate Cosmos email. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Janet always interprets what I'm trying to get out of my brain onto the earth.
I am. Hold on.
She has the
audience.
patience.
You talk while I go recover this.
All right, Trent.
There's a lot of ancients.
Yeah, Jose Escamillo can help you with the water and the fish. And it deals with, you put that with the music, and then you'll start seeing the crystalline. See, we're working on trying to get people from the lower dimensions in the Galactic Federation crossed over into the next dimension, and that's the crystalline beings, and they are the caregivers and the caretakers. And I work with one level. Yeah.
Did you just send
know
this?
about it?
Yeah, you didn't send it to Stargate. Where did you send it, dear?
Janet Lesson.
Okay, hold on. I'll go get it. Keep talking.
Okay. All right. So anyway, Paul Van Ward is a surgeon, and he is going to be back second week of September. So he's doing surgery in Florida. He's very busy. He's a doctor, and he has reincarnationexperiment.org and www.vonward, www.vonward.com and www.reincarnationexperiment.org. So he is part of this, as is Jose Escamilla. And he's on this side from Atlanta, but he's in Florida right now. But Paul will help us, and so will Jose Escamilla, although Jose, I don't know where Jose is, somewhere in California or Arizona or somewhere. So anyway, what we need to do is get all these people together. We don't necessarily need the machine, but if you want to show it to people and stuff, that's fine. But also if you get Swerdlow and Basiago needs to learn. See, he only has part of his. He and Swerdlow got lost in the jump room, what they call the jump room from the Pegasus, and they both got lost. So I went and found them. But see, he wasn't supposed to be there, but he told his daddy he could fix it. And his daddy, being in the CIA, for some reason, told these guys, because, see, they were DARPA, Defense. DARPA and the Air Force were working on this. And see, and here's your interpreter. David Lewis Anderson is the interpreter.
Okay.
Because he's been trying to get to me. And I didn't know who he was till I found my website on his website. And I was like, what? Why am I on this man's website? And he made me a friend on Facebook. So I put him over in the same category as that DARPA guy that was trying to find out about me through MUFON. He was he got he bought up all the past history for $35,000. Bigelow. So DARPA, Bigelow, and I thought David Anderson, but I don't really think I think David Anderson's more about disclosure to prove that what I know is real. And he wants me to he wants to support me in my efforts, and me and him. And so I told him he needed to go to the Pythagoras conference, and I got Sandra to I said I recommend David Lewis Anderson to the Pythagoras conference. That's how I help people. If I feel like they're trying to help me, I help them, and so I connected them. And now he's the feature speaker this time. Isn't that great? David.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we can do in the future together.
I can't get this bad thing to work, PJ. I don't know why it's just not working. Did you get it to open on your end?
No.
No. All right.
No.
I'll stay with it later.
Walter's been talking to me for about 10 years now. And this frequency, like I said...
One at a time, please. Go ahead, Trent. What are you trying to say?
Walter's been talking to me for about 10 years now, and like I said, it offered me this very simple device.
I found it, Janet. When you said you couldn't open it, here it is. It's here. It's called UFO Files-Alien Encounters-Rods. It's from 5 years ago.
I'll get that later. Let's Trent finish saying what he was saying about water. And after we hang up, I'll call you. I'll get that, and we'll have it for the next show.
Rods.
Yeah, we'll have to talk and get some exchange information. But basically, when you put a very can of water on a speaker, very, very thin layer of water. Hit one solid note or 3 notes, but very steady, not like playing music to the speaker, and bounce a laser off the water onto a piece of white paper. You get all these geometric forms. Now, if you think at the water, if you change anything, the water changes, and the forms change. It's a liquid quantum computer, but you have the sacred geometry, you have the light, you have the water. That's what we are. Of course, whatever's happening to water, you're 77% water. So we've got this frequency, these doorways, the resulting sacred geometry, and the sacred geometry that creates the inverse of that, all going on here at once. It's really fascinating to watch it fly together. And Ormus water, O-R-M-U-S, is the white gold that Cleopatra bathed in. It's what they brought Christ. It's what Moses made. That's another ancient secret. It's 5
that monatomic
to 10,
gold?
Yes, it's 5 to 10% of our brain system, and that is really imperative in our bodies, along with the water, to be an activated enough state so they're a component to get us to this higher dimensionality.
Right.
So we're beginning to get all the pieces we need physically to transcend the physical.
Right.
Well, can he play? Can Andrew Basiago play? Because people think he's not right, and that's not right. Because
wait. Say your sentence again. Can he what? You didn't finish your sentence.
Can he play too with what we're creating? Procreate.
Andrew play with what we're creating? You'll love Andrew. Andrew is so cool. He is all heart chakra.
What about Jose Escamilla? Because he has the fish. He photographed the fish.
Okay, he calls them rods. I see what you're saying now. So there's this movie that I finally got it to upload, and I got to see if I can get it to play.
But that's part of what Trent has with the water in where he's at, Saratoga. And when they open the portals sometimes, these fish fly out of it. Nobody knows where they come from. But the music can make fish.
Yes,
Trent,
definitely.
But they're rods. They're calling them rods.
Trent got it.
Yeah, I keep seeing them in the form made by water when you hit it with sound.
Yeah.
Frequency portals. That's what we're looking at. Frequency portals. That's where your music's at. That's where Janet's toning is when she goes into the siren song that takes you to other places.
The fish.
Yeah.
The fish.
A manifestation of that.
Yeah, 13 dimensions in white gold is the 5% brain system pieces, but it also creates the fish. Only certain times can you see the fish.
We need to pull all this together into one format, be it these roundtable discussions or a conference is great because then we can have people, record all this and we can share our, at the conferences we can have discussion panels, and there's several different people that will do interviews like Carrie Cassidy and Sean David Morton, people that are really good at interviewing and get this information, and we can just keep getting this out here. I think as we put these pieces together and we get them out to a broader audience, it'll start waking up humanity, and that's what we need right now, is to wake up and become more conscious and clear of all these things, all these possibilities. And
can you get Alfred Wembermont to come on this side of the country? Because Alfred,
PJ, all we have to do is start getting this information out here. Like, this is one of the we have 2 more minutes, so let's summarize. This is a really good show. If you go in the back end and you put the description of what this is, and then that's out there. This is a
I don't know what it is.
I'll work with you on a description, and so will Trent.
Okay.
We'll send you a description to put on this show, and we'll grab this show and put this out there. Start spreading it on the Facebook and say, this is a critical piece of information.
Pegasus.
No, I know.
And then I also, Joe, I'm going to call you. I'm going to call Andy, and if you're ready, I'll have a 3-way conversation.
Oh, you don't? No, don't let me talk to Andy yet. Not till we get all the pieces together, because he's already confused enough. He doesn't need any more confusion.
All right. Well, maybe I'll have.
He's trying to put everything through his sexual chakra. That's
well,
not
I don't know that
for him.
I don't know where he's trying to put. I think he's.
Well, I mean, I thought he was looking for a woman right now.
Well, this is all. Let's not say this type of things on this show, okay, TJ?
Oh,
yeah.
well, he needs
private
companionship.
and
That's the Tantra part. But
well,
anyway,
let's just put it this way: a lot of men are looking for love. And they see it as a bikini and a Tantra educator. A lot of men think that the way to love is through the sex chakra, and they sometimes see that as love, and they equate that to love. And they're seeking connection. They're seeking this tantric connection.
Higher levels.
The higher levels. And so what we've learned to do in our educational program and our tantric practice is to not judge or demonize or make anybody wrong for their awakening.
Yeah, I just don't. No, I'm not trying to make him wrong. I want him to. I want him to wake up, but I want him to.
Yeah, I kind of have it. I kind of have it the other way around. The sexual chakra is representative of what's already happened on the other levels. But I don't have a website at the moment, but I can give you my email, which is spiritflytrent, SPIRITFLYTRENT @yahoo.com.
It is okay for
you even got fly in your name. You see how this Jose Escamillo and the flying fish go with your name, Spirit Fly Trent. I mean, that's telling me right there that he needs to work on all of this. And then you can help the music that everybody's looking for at the university and the level to get people to the next level. See, all this is going to come together 12/21/12, so people will get the big aha.
What is being supported now, and I've been looking at this the last year, are people with heart. Rich, poor, city, country, ignorant, smart. It's people with heart that are being trusted by something much more inclusive and higher than we are, and it is being downloaded whether we want it or not. And this is just an example of how it's coming together to all the light workers for something that will remanifest this planet. And the galaxy,
everybody has
one big woman, will rebirth it.
I'm one big
woman. If you're looking for a woman, you got the whole galaxy. Love it, you know?
Well, anyway, this is all good stuff. What I think it's time, we're running out our 5:01. We're going to be cut off soon. What I'd like to do, Trent, is invite you back. I'll talk to you, TJ, off the air, and we'll strategize for the next level. I think it was an incredible show. I really appreciate everybody, listeners out there. I appreciate you, Trent.
Well, let's not talk
Thank you
tomorrow.
For the call out of the blue the other day, which sparked this. I'd love to have you back again. And
he's another catalyst. He's another catalyst like you. That's what you recognized in him, I think, is he's like you.
Yeah.
He brings all this
we're all mirrors for each other. Mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall. We're all the greatest on the wall. So, anyway, Trent, I'll be. Let's keep in touch. We'll send each other.
Trent,
I want to invite everybody. I have a new social network system. It's called Stargate to the Cosmos. Well, you can go to stargatetothecosmos.com. My web person is going to put a link up there, become a member, and this is a social network, and we can put profiles, we can upload our stories, our things that we want to share, videos, everything can be uploaded here, and this way we can keep in touch, and we won't be so lost on Facebook. Facebook is lovely, but we're kind of lost here, so we're pulling it into our own network.
Done too.
What's
Janet's
that?
doing her book. You're doing your book, and your husband's doing his book, and I've got about 13 books. So, Trent, I want to encourage you to write a book, and I have TJ Martin Publishing.
Have you written a book?
I've got a small one on the medical properties of water, trying to get the insurance company to send humanity back to the waters that'll keep healing us. But, I've been more and more encouraged to write a book bridging this all together. I've always been kind of a look at all the different components floated around and what they make when you put them together. Gateway energy and a space holder. So,
All right. So you can go on Lulu.com or Amazon, create space. or if you need help packaging, that's what I do. And I have a whole group of girls that help, and they edit and stuff. So just get your book together. Even if it's got pictures, it's okay. We can put it together. And you can go to tjmarsentertainment.org, or you can go to socialparanormal.com. And I have a feeling, rather than entertainer, you'll probably be more in the socialparanormal.com. So we can make you a page over there since you don't have a website, and you can start posting your paper and then start referring to the book you're writing. And then you can help Janet and I, and then you can, if you go back to this archive on blogtalkradio.com / and then put the name of this, TJ Mars ET Radio, and then once you get there, you should see tonight's date. And I'll
now, that's Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah, / You know how you do if you want to go to a page. Right. Okay, and then you put in my initials, TJ Morris, is it? Yeah, it's etradio.com. And we didn't discuss the Anunnaki story, so I'm going to take that out because he didn't show up. And
well, he's here, but I didn't call him in because this was so powerful, and I felt we needed to complete this train of consciousness.
Oh, Janet,
we'll just have him on another day.
Janet
my lovely husband, his Anunnaki update, which we will do.
Okay. How do you spell Trent's name? I've got Janet Careless and Trent, what? T-R-E-N-T. Spell your name, Trent?
M-I-L-L-E-T.
Oh, cool. You're even like a fish millet. See, all this, water, fish. I get it. Okay, Trent Millet, discussing, okay, I'm going to put discussing Pegasus project. And
Montauk.
You want to, and Montauk.
Montauk and Pegasus.
I'm going to say at Montauk. And
all right,
David.
so we're update that, and you'll send us the link, and I'm going to go now. I have to go. Time to leave. And thank you very much. Aloha from Maui, Hawaii, and hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, water
it's up there,
Saratoga.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah, for sure.
Bye-bye.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
Trent, you're now on there. So it says Janet Careless and Trent Millet discussing Pegasus project at Montauk. And then David Anderson Swerdlow and music, and what, water? What were the components? Music, water, light. Resonant music?
Yeah, that's
water.
Really all we are is water, light, and music. Water holds it, sound is what forms it, and light is the communication. Everything else is just formed by sound to be in water, and light is, my God, our interdimensionality.
Okay, and then I'll create you I'm going to send you, you better give me your website. Did I write it down, Trent? Give me your email again, and I'll send you a password to make you a page. Do you have a picture on Facebook I can see?
Probably do, yes. Not a lot of them. I'm just really getting up to speed computer-wise and getting computer savvy. I'm trying to get a camera on my computer. I have to be able to do YouTube and to develop a web page. It's coming up fast. I mean, medically speaking, I'm not even supposed to be here, so I've been kind of reborn in my second puberty. That's great.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay. All right, so you're second generation. I need to. I've died 3 times, and I've broke my back and my neck, and I've had all kind of stuff going on, but I'm still here to do this work because that's my position, is ushering in the Ascension age, which begins 12/21/12. So, it all has to do with it.
It's like I've been telling people, I'm not even supposed to be here, so if all I do is give, it's all paid forward. I'm here to play. It's all paid forward. It's how do I thank the cosmos? It's pass on what 30 years of sitting at the feet of amazing teachers has given me. And I do have that ability to put all sorts of pieces together from different places. I can go into a junkyard and make an airplane kind of thing. So I see where one person has something, another person, and maybe totally unrelated, but I see how they match. You know, Daryl's sound stuff, what you said tonight, what's going on here. I just see components flying together. It's like, all right, you know, what an amazing thing. And we're all components of something that's a group consciousness is going to be marvelous.
It is. It's so much fun. And Janet is sort of, she likes to put people together, God bless her, and I appreciate that because the Ascension Age is extraterrestrial, but also the Ascension Center organization that I started, oddly enough, in Hawaii, and then her and Dr. Alex, he goes by Sasha, but his name's Dr. Alex Lesson. He has a Ph.D. in anthropology, and my Ace Folklife Club is for folklife people that like to archive history, and so you sort of fit into the Ace Folklife. You could believe the director of Vermont. Is that where you're from, Vermont?
Yeah.
But you could hold a title with that. But I'm going to put you on socialparanormal.com, and then you can get to know the people in the Ace Folklife Book Club. They're all authors already, but you'll be an author, I'm sure. And you can learn your way around, you know, but we'll help you get your book going because you got a piece. And you
it's so easy for me to for me to dictate things, but my spelling is so terrible, even spell check has a hard time, because they see the morphic field around words. You know,
Arethamycin versus HAR, Yeah,
you know, Arethamycin and ampicillin look the same to me because they have the same radiating field effect.
Why don't you come in on Friday night? You can come in on Friday night if you want to. Come back. Do you have free cell? Well, this is a landline, though. This is probably costing you.
I'm on a cell phone.
Yeah, I'm on a cell phone, too, but when you call into the show, it's a landline, which I didn't know until AT&T called me and said I'd run up 2,000 more minutes, or 6,000. Anyway, I pay for like $212, and they rented up $60 more to $270 a month, and then the show's $40 a month. So, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'm on.
That is all for good.
I'm on Net 10, so I have unlimited anyway.
Oh, good. Awesome. All right. Well, this is awesome. Well, then, why don't you take back
and you wanted my email.
Oh, yeah. I can't give you a page, but you can learn how. What's going to happen is I'm going to make you a page on socialparanormal.com called Trent Millet, and then what you'll do is you'll go on the page, but you'll get an email. Give me your email. It'll give you your password.
Okay, SPIRIT FLY TRE. Right, TRENT at yahoo.com. Spirit Fly Trent.
Oh, yeah, you already gave it to me. Yeah,
and
you already gave it to me, but I've got.
Any other links you can send me? 4/29/53. I'm a Taurus.
Oh, wonderful! I get along perfect. You're my compliment. I'm a Capricorn. So,
according to a lady named Cassandra, who's in Hawaii, gave me a blessing. I've been on all of the planets in Andromeda and the Pleiadians.
Oh, I like the Pleiadians, but I'm an Andromedan.
I've been on both. Okay. I find Syrians the strange race, but Andromedans and Pleiadians are just my old playground. I mean, I
started out in Pleiades and around Pegasus area because of and Orion too. I work with them. I forgot what Aurora is, but she's all about the galaxy level. But I work at the higher levels, mainly above the Galaxy Federation is all about these differences, and Alan calls it silly, but anyway, above that, see, I work with, so you'll know where all this stuff comes from. It's not just the universal level, but I work in the multiverse, metaverse, the universe, omniverse, and the alpha and omega, and that's the 7. And Alan was saying, that was too many, but last night you can go back and archive and listen to it, and I strongly suggest you do. But he was saying the same thing when you listen to it, because he comes down 7 levels. I go up 7 levels, and I just have names for them scientifically so the world can relate. You know, the scientific world and quantum physics, you know what I'm talking about? Anyway,
we need a vocabulary that metaphors it into Earthling.
Right. I can't talk to people, as you can see, because I can't formulate the energy above unless I'm channeling into music. And I can do digital, 0101, 0101, you know what I'm talking about, digital 001 and 3.14 pi, because the Crystalline people use that as well as the white orb people, and they came and they showed me the pi and the infinity squared, all that. So anyway, I'm getting too deep for everybody, but that's the kind of life I live, and I do a lot of travel at night, and I go back to my home, back over the Andromeda Galaxy, and going up to the multiverse, the metaverse, and I work a lot in the Xenoverse, where's the theory of everything in the cosmic field. And see, that's why these scientific DARPA people want to work with me, and I won't do it, because I want it to be working with all the right people that have all the right pieces that need help first. Then we'll give it to the people that want to make money. But right now, let's work together and let everybody help and have health and prosperity for all.
That's it. That's what I've been trying to say. After we fix it, we can go back to games of greed and money. I don't think we'll want to. But right now, it's a matter of...
We're going to a higher credit system. Right? We're going to help them after 12/21/12 fix it, but we're calling it tectonic economics because of each land has their own culture and people, and not that we want to be divided. We don't want to be more than, better than, average than, less than. We want to be all working together in universal trade and commerce, but we don't want it to be controlled by the New World Order, and we're finding out all the greedy people and all the greedy corporations. So heaven help anybody that's trying to create a multi-billion-dollar corporation and not take care of our little people on Main Street, see? Because right now with this election, it doesn't matter which one gets in. They're still puppets, and everybody knows it because of the setup of, which is not what our forefathers wanted, with the Constitution and Declaration. They didn't, and even Washington warned against that, as did Eisenhower. They tried to tell us about this big conglomerate.
And of course, I believe the country was originally founded by the Knights Templars in New Jerusalem, and we're supposed to still get there.
Me too, so we're on the same page. All right, dear, well, we better go. And listen, every night I play something, but go and listen to that on the YouTube. Can you play YouTube or not?
Yeah, I have to wait till I get to the library with my computer.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll probably have to send you a... What's your address? Well, call me tomorrow, and I'll get your address, and I'll send you a copy of the CD for you to analyze, okay?
Oh, God, yeah, that would be amazing. And as soon as I get hold of Preston again, we want to play with that.
Yeah, 32 minutes and 6 seconds.
Yeah, shoot me an email, and I'll give you my address back, and yeah, that would be a revelation to decode that.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to...